What is the latest data telling us about COVID-19? Should we be getting worried, or is there some cause for reassurance? Well, let's start with this, the big picture, looking at cases across the UK. You can see that big hump there that happened around January, February, March, that last wave, and you can see kind of more or less where we are at the moment. The numbers are going up. So we're 10,633 in the last data to be released, but you can't really see from there about what the growth rate looks like. So what I'm going to do is convert this data, same data, but use a logarithmic axis. And the steeper these lines are, the faster it's growing. It gives you a sense of what's happening down at those low numbers. And what's happening is this. Just recently, we were talking about growth in the UK of COVID doubling every 9 days. So the number of cases doubling every 9 days, 8% up. But you can probably just make out that line it's got less steep, hasn't it? It's more shallow. And now it's doubling every 18 days. So still going up, but the growth rate isn't quite as sharp as it was before. And that really matters, the difference between those two things. And I'll show you why. That's what would have happened if you were doubling every 9 days. You'd be up to about 100,000 cases by the middle of July, whereas that different growth rate, the one we're on at the moment, that trajectory would take you to potentially around 25,000 cases by mid-July. So, you know, that's still concerning. But the key question here is not just about cases, but about hospitalisations. Have we broken that link between case growth and hospitalisations? Well, here's one way of looking at it. I'll show you two, but this is the first one. This just breaks them down by age group, so hospitalisations by age group, and you can see those red dots are people 65 and over, and for most of this pandemic, they have been higher than those darker dots, so that's younger people under 65, but just look at what's happened more recently. More recently, it's under 65s who are going to hospital more than over 65s. They're both very low numbers, so that's good news, but as is the pattern, over 65s, lower numbers going into hospital as a result of COVID-19. And when you take a step back and look at the bigger picture, and that's what I've got here, this line basically shows you the number of people going into hospital per 1,000 cases of COVID. So you've got a kind of ratio of just how many people are having to go in to get seen to. And you can see that number has gone down, 80 per 1,000 at the start of the year, down to about 50 per 1,000 in the last few months. Fewer hospitalisations for each case of COVID. So that's pretty encouraging as well. The final thing we're going to have to look at, though, is what happens to deaths. And here we can do what we've done a few times before, taking the case numbers, so again, that's just cases, number of cases across the UK, and look at deaths as well. They often happen about 14 days afterwards, just statistically speaking, and so I'll move that back by 14 days so they're correlated. And just look at the far right-hand side. Cases are starting to go up, but just look, deaths, that red line, still very low. And the hope for the next few weeks is that that stays low, and who knows, maybe we have broken that link.